We had a perfect golf course.
So for those of that don't know, Tom, that was 2004 U.S. Open and at Shinnecock.
Yes,
and,
sir.
And you were responsible for the course setup. And on Sunday morning, the first two groups went through on Championship Sunday and were combined 7 or 8 over after just a couple holes. And there was some weather, some wind, some concern about the course, and you guys took it right to the edge as far as the firm and fast greens. And apparently they had been lost in the middle of the night, and it was almost seemingly impossible to putt on hole 7, and that's where the tragedy kind of started. Is that correct?
Well, let's go back to the course setup.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Yeah.
Well, basically, besides all the preliminary work did in the days and weeks and months preceding the Open, when it actually gets there, I'm in charge of hole locations and tee markers and so forth.
Yeah.
That's my main concern. It was my number one challenge. And we had a perfect 3 days from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We had a perfect golf course.
Yeah.
And all I did was the same thing on Sunday, or have the maintenance crew do on Sunday that they had done the previous 3 days.
Yeah.
But the winds came up that night. You're right. The winds came up and were very, very 30 miles an hour or something like that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
way faster than it had been
Yeah.
as far as the wind was concerned. And you're right, on 7, which is a Redan hole at Shinnecock, the whole location I thought was all right. And by the way, I always went out when we were setting holes and putted them, make sure that they worked.
Yeah.
And I think we did do a little adjustment on 7, but not enough. And by the time the first groups got there, it was very dicey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Immediately, I got our agronomist, who's our staff agronomist, to get with the superintendent. I said, get someone out there, and every other group, let's throw some water on that green. Just a little slight syringe to try to get the grass to grow a little quicker and slow things down a little bit.
Yeah.
And that finally saved the day, but before we could do that, we had several groups go through. I think one jumps out at me is Craig Stadler's son that well, I think one person even putted it into the bunker. So it was a nightmare, and I'm sitting there watching it and just shaking my head. I said, "Oh boy, it's going to be a long day."
Right.
Yeah, because they actually called you over at one point. You were on another hole setting up, and the early groups had come in, and someone on the radio said, "Tom, you're needed on hole 7," and you said, "No, thank you." Right? Is that about right?
Oh no, I went immediately over there, and I could see what was the problem was.
Yeah,
So it with my job there with the USGA all those years, I learned something.
Yeah.
The only problem is I learned it in 2004. I started in 1975.
It's a slow learner.
And I told Mike Davis, who followed me, I said, Mike, I learned a big lesson today, but I've only got one more year here at the USGA, and I'm retiring.
Yeah.
So please learn something.
Yeah.
And yet, this past year when they went to Shinnecock, or 2 years ago, they had problems again. So Shinnecock is a tough setup. It is, but it's a great golf course. I love Shinnecock.